You're listening to the official podcast of Bloodstock Open Air Festival. Bloodstock Radio.
Yes, hello, good evening, and welcome to Bloodstock Radio podcast number 51, the official podcast of the Bloodstock Open Air Festival. My name is Squatter, and we have got a lot to get through tonight, as we have had another 4 Metal to the Masses finals at the weekend, and we're going to be hearing from all 4 of those bands tonight. Plus, we've had Bloodstock announcements galore. We've had some band announcements, band replacements, merch announcements, and some competitions where you could win Bloodstock 2018 tickets. So we're going to bring you all the information about those later on. But first up, let's get on with the first of our Metal to the Masses winners on tonight's show. Last Saturday, I was up in Nottingham with Rob Bannister, and we'll hear what happened there later on in the show. But first up, Simon Hall was up in Merseyside, and Lisa from the Rock Society was covering Newcastle. So let's hear what happened with those, and we'll also have some information about one of this weekend's finals sandwiched in between as well. So first up, off we go to Merseyside.
And now on Bloodstock Radio, a Bloodstock Metal to the Masses tour update.
Okay, next up on Bloodstock Radio, we are catching up with the next of our Metal to the Masses winners, and winning up at the Metal to the Masses Merseyside, it was Equinox, and we're talking to their vocalist, Dan. How are you, mate?
Hey, man, it's good to hear from you again. Things are good. How about yourself?
I am well, yes. It's good to see your name popping up again, because obviously we've had a few chats with you over the last 12 months or so. So, yes, Equinox winning in Merseyside this weekend, so you must be delighted.
Yeah, man, I was absolutely flabbergasted. The competition was unbelievably tight. It was absolutely exceptional. All the bands did great. You know, Volticult and Raised by Walls are actually bands that are pals of ours. We gig with them quite frequently in the Liverpool scene and have actually put on shows with them. And then Antimony were unbelievably tight, and it was great to share a stage with them. Although I must admit, the band I was most excited for was Endeavour, just because they're my boys, and I absolutely love a bit of prog. Yeah. So, you know, it was an amazing night. I'm super proud of the guys. We put in a great job, gave it everything we could.
Yeah, cool. Well, I was with Simon the day after in Manchester at the Manchester final, and he said it was a little bit of a. He said it was more of a sort of rock-based sort of lineup rather than not that many metal bands in it. Yeah, it was quite an unusual one, just because the big thing about it was that the biggest metal band on the night, the one that kind of suited that idea the most, was probably Antimony. But then the other bands also spliced like little ideas of the kind of conventional metal stuff that Bloodstock's looking at across their set, rather than having it as a standard metal band and having metal songs throughout their sets. It was like little moments of metal in each individual song that those bands had. So it was a bit of an odd one, but it was cool to see a lot more rock bands. Cause, I mean, especially this year with Mr. Big and Fozzy and whatnot on there, it's looking like even Bloodstock's kind of catering a little bit more to some more rock bands. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was also commenting at the weekend as well. Someone was saying there's not that many thrash bands this year, but we had loads of thrash bands this year. But that's the thing, so you've got to keep changing it around and that lot. And, you know, we do have, you know, the likes of Skindred, the band that Simon put onto the Jaeger stage that were on at Manchester last night, called Death Goldblum, and they're like they're like a Skindred, Rage Against the Machine. They've got almost a rap metal sort of singer and stuff like that. So we are sort of spreading things around and trying to keep it as varied as possible. Yeah, you obviously had a little bit of taste of Bloodstock last year as well, because you won with Reaper last year as well. And I will just clarify the situation with people, because people might be a bit, you know, how's he done that then? But they're two completely different bands, aren't they? We had exactly the same in London in 2014-15. We had Jackknife Seizure that actually had two band members, Sylvie and Jerry, were in there, and then they won in Wretched Toad the year after. But two completely different bands, two completely different things. So that's not against the rules of Metal to the Masses, just so people know that.
I get this quite a bit, actually, and I had it last night afterwards, actually. Someone came up to me and went, "Oh, which one's your main band?" I went, "Neither. They're both equally as important to each other, and they're both as equally important to me. They're a big part of my life. I don't want to be writing songs for one band for my entire life. I've got quite a lot of ideas, and not all of them suit Reaper. I don't want to be writing thrash metal and heavy metal every single day of my life because it will become tedious, which is why Equinox is a great outlet for a lot of my classic rock and hard rock roots, which is basically what I grew up on. So it's nice to be able to interpolate those things with Equinox. But to clarify for anyone that's listening, for anyone who heard from me last year, first of all, hello. Second of all, Reaper are completely different from Equinox in almost every possible way. Without harping on about the whole Devon comparison that I use quite a bit, not in the same caliber, because I'd never compare myself to the man himself, DT. I love him too much. But it's kind of like the comparison of Strapping Young Lad versus his solo stuff. It's like night and day difference, but there's still kind of a common thread just because it's the same guy. That's natural to happen, but to have two separate ideas is, I think both for a musician, it's really healthy, but also it's just common now. There's so many people who want to have so many different ideas, and it's bound to happen now. So, just part and parcel to what I like to write to.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I say we had, I think the drummer from one of the bands last night is also in Footprints in the Custard, and he's also in another, I think he's in 3 bands altogether, actually, now, I think. So, yeah. So they,
Alex Sladen's insane, man.
Yeah, so, but, yeah, as you say, different strokes, different folks and all that sort of thing. So, yeah, glad to clear that up. So tell us a little bit about Equinox then. So, obviously, you said it's more sort of rock-based, but you've been going for a few years now and that lot. So, yeah, so tell us a bit about them.
It's Equinox I auditioned for back in 2015 during a time where I was kind of I auditioned for them thinking they were going to be a cover band, just thinking, that'll be a nice little practice, and then I heard the guys in the room with the lineup that we had at the time. I was like, oh, they've got original material and it sounds really good. So I cleared it with everyone and made sure that everything was okay, and I was like, I'll put some lyrics to this. Slowly but surely we started building up some shows. It started off as a very kind of 70s kind of homage band, which is reflective in our first EP, Time Zone, which is free now because we don't think it's as reflective of what we like to do now with the lineup we have. We've now got Paddy Cummins, who used to be in Black Diamond, on guitar, and we have Jay Bold on bass, who used to be in Manufacture, and the 2 members that auditioned me that are still in the lineup today are Jeff Stanley and Ian Wilson, and those guys are all phenomenal musicians, and we write what we like to say is 80s and 70s hard rock and kind of little metal essences with modern rock influence, so kind of like a little bit of Whitesnake and Def Leppard with a little tinge of Alter Bridge in there, but we just like to explore different kinds of things, man. We're not going to be anywhere close to the heaviest band on the bill, but we're very diverse, and it's something that we always really strive for. The Traveller EP is very reflective of that. The 3 songs that we've got on Spotify and whatnot are 3 completely different songs, and we're hoping to hit the studio pretty soon. We got approached by a guy from the Motor Museum in Liverpool. It was Loic Gayard who approached us, so when we go to record our debut album, that's the guy we're going to be going for. And yeah, if you're into your classic 70s and 80s rock, but you like a little bit of punch from modern heavy rock and metal bands, then we're the guys for you.
Cool. Okay, that all sounds great. So, so we're going to hear a bit of music from that Traveller EP that you just mentioned very shortly as well. So, just one little catch-up thing for you as well. We spoke to you a few months about before you were doing your orchestral gig, Stave, up there in Liverpool back in May. So, how did that all go, and did it all work out? Because you did have your 2 bands playing and some of your solo stuff as well and that lot, and it looked like quite an ambitious project, really. So how did it go overall?
It was very tense, but it ended up being absolutely incredible. For what we had and for the things that we had to pull off in the short space of time that we did, we really, really, really pulled it out of the bag. I mean, to keep it in context with Equinox, Jess came from hospital because she had an absolutely horrendous stomach virus the night before, and she came from hospital to play the set. On top of that as well, we had so many different things going on a day that we had to do so much damage control for stuff that kind of went up in the air, but as soon as the show started, we had a good amount of people in there, man. It was a really cool time. The songs went really good. We're waiting to get back the audio footage to see whether or not things have gone well with that. Fingers crossed. And the show went amazingly. I really couldn't have asked. The support that we had on that night was just, it was a really big moment for me. So thank you so much to anyone that came down.
Yeah, cool, excellent. Well, as I say, I've always loved your enthusiasm. The first time I met you last year at McLean's up in North Wales there, when you just won before, and literally it was just like a force of nature just ranting at me in this scar.
Oh man, I felt so nervous doing an interview. It was so bad.
Yeah, but it's the enthusiasm that comes across, and as I say, that's what you need, and that should absolutely be encouraged, because young musicians like you, doesn't matter you're in 1, 2, 3 bands, you're putting on things like this orchestral gig and stuff like that, should absolutely be encouraged. And I'm for one really looking forward to seeing you at Bloodstock again this year, mate. Thanks
so much, man. It's going to be great to go down there and play again. And Simon's probably going to be listening to this at some point. Thank you so much, and thanks to all the Bloodstock team for having us. We hope you do our city proud, and we'll see you guys there, man.
Cool. Excellent. Okay, well, let's listen to that song then. So it's called Martyr, and it's from your Traveller EP. So, yes, this is Equinox with Martyr.
Evening folks, it's Mike from Lizard King Promotions running this year's Metal to the Masses Lincolnshire. Just a quick shout out to everyone at home that this Saturday we're hosting the final at Cafe Independent Scunthorpe. 6 bands are all fighting for that one place to play Bloodstock, and competing on the night we have Sertraline, Iron Tooth, Luna's Call, Liberate Me, 57 Down and Fly No Flag. Completing the night we have 2 very special guests, the first being Blues Stoner 3-piece from Manchester, Ritual King, who were last year's Metal to the Masses Lincolnshire finalists. And to complete the night, recently also announced to open Bloodstock Festival, and the first band on the Thursday night, we have lead-based post-rock, post-metal Doomsters, 100-Year-Old Man, who will complete the evening before Mr. Bannister takes the stage and announces the winner. Hope to see some of your faces there, and hope to see you all at Bloodstock. Cheers.
Okay, next up on Bloodstock Radio, we are catching up with another of our Metal to the Masses finalists from last weekend. Up there in Newcastle in Geordieland, it was Killanova. How you doing, guys?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Yes, we are rattling through our Metal to the Masses finals. Only a couple of weekends left now. So, yes, congratulations, guys. You're going to be playing at Bloodstock.
Thank you very much. It's not even going to sink in for weeks, I don't think.
Yeah, well, you've been officially announced now, so you're on the website and you're on the pages and everything. So yeah, so it's about time it starts to sink in, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really going to sink in until we're driving there, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, have any of you guys been down to Bloodstock before?
I have. I've been going to Bloodstock about 5 or 6 years in a row. Not just trying to sell promo here, but I do believe it is the best festival, and it's an honour to be playing.
Cool, excellent. So tell us about your band. What type of music do you play? And I believe you haven't been going for that long either. So just tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Yeah, I think we've probably got a pretty good argument that we're the newest blood on the New Blood stage. We've played 4 shows in total, and the first one was in April. So this is all very new to us. It's definitely thrash at its core, but then we sort of pull in other elements from everything else we listen to. So you'll get bits of prog and bits of metalcore and all sorts of other stuff as well.
Okay, cool. Well, I am a thrash head, it has to be said. Thrash is at my core. So which sort of thrash bands would you say that are your main sort of influences? And are there any that you'd say you've got some similarities with, maybe?
I wouldn't say necessarily similarities, because I think I'd be picking us up too much. But it's definitely the core, the big 4. You've got your Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax, Megadeth. That's me to a core. You've got some Creator in there. And then we're going to the kind of more newer bands as well. You go to bands like Avenged Sevenfold, Trivium, Arch Enemy,
Tremonti.
Yeah, there's plenty of bands to try and drag a little bit from and just try and make our own.
Okay, cool. That sounds good. We haven't actually got that many thrash bands on at Bloodstock this year. We had a lot on last year, and we've got a much more of a mix this year as well. So there's not actually, off the top of my head, I think we're talking like the likes of Onslaught and Reprisal. We've got Exorder coming over from the States. I don't know if you've heard of Alien Weaponry at all yet.
I was listening to a podcast about them just the other day. Yeah, I've got to check them out.
Yeah, they are something special, and they're going to be very good indeed. But yeah, we haven't actually got that many thrash bands that are playing. So hopefully you should get yourselves a few thrashes into the New Blood tent. So tell us a little bit about your Metal to the Masses journey and that sort of thing, because obviously you've only just started going in that lot. So what was the main sort of reason that you took part in the Metal to the Masses? Was it purely just to get gigs under your belt, or was it the networking side of things, or what was the main impetus behind it?
I think it was a bit of everything. It was the Metal to the Masses shows last year. It was myself and Joe went along and we said, wow, we've got to put a band together. We've got to enter this next year. So, we kind of met up with Steve, met up with Ellen. We put a band together, really only forming around probably January time. And then our first gig was for a charity event in Newcastle at the end of April. And that was only 4 days before the first round of the Metal of the Masses heat. So it's trying to kind of set the groundwork. Went okay, and we didn't expect to get through the first round. It was more of we've got a guaranteed show here. Let's just go out, have a bit of a laugh. And somehow we got through the first round and absolutely buzzed, and it just went from there.
We also haven't played actually outside of Trillions yet.
Yes.
So funny.
Well, yeah, it's going to be a little bit different because, those of you that have been to Bloodstock before will know about the way that the New Blood tent works, and we usually try to get it quite busy. So we'll have a listen to some of your music. You're going to be playing the New Blood tent on the Saturday, I believe, from what was announced the other day. So, hopefully we'll get you a few bodies in there. So we'll ask you to introduce your song shortly, but just try to sum it up for us. What is it that you can offer to our punters, and why should they go and check you guys out on the Saturday?
If you're planning on seeing Devil Driver, if you're planning on watching Power Trip, if you're planning on watching Judas Priest, we've probably got something for you as well. Come and check us out.
Okay, cool. That sounds good. Okay, well, congratulations, guys, and cheers for chatting to us. We'll see you at Bloodstock in August, so if one of you can just introduce that song, and we'll have a listen to that.
We are Killer Nova, and this is Straight to Hell.
Ich bin Dr. Hell, this evil scarecrow. Deine ears gehört Bloodstock Radio, ding dong.
Yes, indeed. So that was two of our Saturday Night Metal to the Masses winners First up, we had Equinox winning up on Merseyside, then Killanova, who won up in Newcastle. And we also had that information about the Lincolnshire final, which takes place on Saturday night. And apart from that, we've also got Metal to the Masses finals on Friday in Oxford at the Bullingdon, and on Saturday in Northamptonshire. That's at the Rushden Athletic Club as part of Hopfest, which starts tomorrow night, and that's Friday. And I will be in attendance at that one with my son, taking him to see Psycho Stick as he is celebrating his 16th birthday today. So a big shout out to him. But we are now heading back to our Metal to the Masses roundup from last weekend. So, as I said earlier, on Saturday night I was at the Maze in Nottingham for their final, along with Rob Bannister, Jordan from Evil Scarecrow, and Sam and Paul from Forgotten Remains, who are of course playing on the Sophie stage at Bloodstock this year. And then on Sunday, I drove up to Manchester to meet up with Mr. Hall at Rebellion, where they had a huge day of entertainment kicking off at 2 p.m, with 6 competing bands and 4 guest bands dotted in between them. But both finals were of the highest quality, so let's hear how things went for both of those, starting off firstly with Nottingham.
And now on Bloodstock Radio. A Metal to the Masses winners interview.
Okay, next up on Bloodstock Radio, we're catching up with the latest of our Metal to the Masses winners. We are at Nottingham. We've just had the results read out, and the winners are the bands Underdark. How you doing, guys?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Cool. So, yes, literally 5 minutes ago, you found out that you're going to be playing at Bloodstock, so you must all be pretty shell-shocked at the moment, yeah?
Yeah.
Can't believe it.
Blown away.
Yeah.
Definitely not taking it in yet.
Yeah, cool. Well, so this is basically your chance to tell everyone about your band and to try to get them to come and hear you at Bloodstock. So just tell our listeners what type of music you play. We're going to hear some of your music after this anyway, but just tell us a little bit about the band, how long it's been going for.
Alright, we're Underdark. We've been going for about just over 2 years now. We released our EP literally like 2 years ago yesterday. We play a mixture of black metal, post-metal, shoegaze, not similar to stuff like Death Heaven, Wolves in the Throne Room, Cult of Luna, that sort of stuff. So we've done quite a few shows around Nottinghamshire, and across the UK. We've got our first European tour coming up just before we're now due to play Bloodstock. So we're really looking forward to this. They're probably the biggest show we've played to date. So really fucking stoked.
It was a great set. To be honest, the standard in the final was absolutely sky high. You know, there were 6 bands played tonight, and we could have put any one of them on. It's sometimes we just get finals like that around the country. So were you confident in your performance? Did you feel that you were in with a shout?
I think we gave ourselves the best chance we could have done, but like you say, there were so many other great bands like Pemphigoid, like Pennington's Fall, just really good bands like you say, anyone could have gone through, I think.
A nerve-wracking wait, for the results to come out?
A little bit.
We're nerve-wracking. I'll say I was shooting bricks.
Cool. So have you guys been to Bloodstock before, any of you? Who's been and who hasn't?
Yeah, I went first time last year. To be fair, I had a brilliant time. Ollie.
Yeah, I think this is like this year will be the 8th time I've been. It's the best metal festival in Europe, probably. It's just the best festival.
Yeah. And you've checked out the New Blood stage, I'm assuming, yeah? Have you been to
all the time, yeah.
Yeah, a couple of our friends played last year. 100-year-old man, Baal played last year with good friends with, so really good friends.
Cool. You guys are going to be playing there this year, so make sure you get your names out there, and when you find out what time and day you're playing and that lot, make sure that you get yourselves around the site, get yourselves letting people know where you're at and things like that, and obviously we'll try to get as many people into the New Blood tent for you as possible. So are there any other bands that are playing Bloodstock this year that you'd be hoping not to clash with, that you'd be wanting to see?
Tendencies.
Yeah, I'd say Suicidal Tendencies, they won more. That we've been wanting to see for years. I'd want to say Judas Priest, just because I like them.
Yeah, you won't be clashing with Judas Priest, you'll be fine. They're on late at night, you'll be fine, you'll be alright. You'll be all done by then, that's fine. And I also noticed an Emperor shirt was in there as well. So
Max repping as well, yeah. I like to see Emperor. I think I want to catch Conjurer at some point as well, because I love them.
Conjurer, awesome band.
And Mate's Abduction playing as well, big fan of them as well.
Man, we saw them last year on the New Blood stage. They've been asked to return for the festival.
Yeah, cool. Well, we look forward to seeing you at Bloodstock. I also do the Bloodstock TV interviews as well, so we'll try and have a chat with you there as well. And let it all sink in. You're all looking slightly dazed. It had to be said. All of you are just sitting there with sloppy happy grins on your faces. So I'll let these people come over and congratulate you. And
Thank you very much.
You can now go and get drunk and enjoy yourselves.
Massively appreciate it.
And we'll finish up with some of your music. So if one of you wants to introduce that, then let's go for that.
Absolutely. We've been on the dark, and this is our newest track, The Smell of Autumn.
But the band that we're putting through combined incredible brutality with melody, with professionalism, and we're incredibly tight throughout. And the band that we're putting through is Underdark!
Okay, next up on Bloodstock Radio, we are rattling along with our Metal to the Masses finals around the country, and on Sunday I was fortunate enough to be up at Manchester to see the triumph of Barbarian Hermit, and we're having a chat to Gaz. How you doing, sir?
I'm all good. How are you?
I'm recovering. It's got to be said. I went to Nottingham on Saturday and then Manchester on Sunday. So it was a long old day on Sunday because they put on an absolutely fantastic day there, didn't they?
They did. It was tremendous from start to finish. Great bands, great music, great people, and Rebellion. They look after everybody.
Well, when they first started doing it last year, I was very impressed with the way that they did it all, because obviously they have a launch party that's free to enter, and they have the bands that have won before to come along and play for you, and then they do the draw and put you all into that big sort of like rack showing you who's playing who in each heat and all that sort of thing. And it's just, I don't know, it just sort of took it to a different direction that other regions haven't really done before.
They make a real event of it. And that's what's nice. It makes it about the community and about the people who are going to be watching and checking all the bands out, as opposed to just the people who are involved in playing. And that spirit is very much alive and well. That community spirit and Rebellion are very much pushing the envelope in terms of that in Manchester. Yeah,
it's a great venue there as well. I've been going up to gigs up there for quite a while now, and they put on a great show there.
They've got a great setup. They've put a lot of time and effort into it. I mean, that PA, 2 or 3 years ago was very different, and now it's one of the best I've heard.
Yeah, cool. So let's talk a little bit about your band then. There is a bit of a no-no for interviewers, and not that I am a professional interviewer at all, but I don't think I've ever before asked a band, where did you get your name from? But Barbarian Hermit just seems like two random names picked out of the dictionary at random. So I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask the question you should never ask. Where's the name come from?
Well, it's a little bit before my time, the name in the band, but I think it was just something we like to sort of be a little bit silly, and we wanted a name that wasn't able to be taken a little bit too seriously, and that way you get to just let the music do the talking for itself. So it's just something that sounds quite big but daft at the same time.
Okay, I get that. We'll go with that. And obviously I was there for the performance the other night, and it was a really big performance. And I thought you were worthy winners to go through. So tell us a bit about your band and what type of music that you play. Obviously we'll be hearing some of your music shortly as well. But how long you've been going for, and what type of music do you play? And just give our listeners a brief overview.
Yeah, so the band itself, Barbarian Hermit, has probably been knocking around for about 4, approaching 5 years. About 3 years ago, they brought out a self-titled EP, which is called Number One, which you can still get on Bandcamp, and we'll get getting that out through the label APF soon. That went down well. There was lots of shows, and then there was some slight reshuffling. So the original singer, bass player, and drummer parted ways, and then there was a lineup shuffle. So Ed came on to do some vocals. Rob now is the bringer of the low end, and I joined on the drums. And that was probably around about a year ago now that first lineup was sort of cemented. And we had our sort of debut foray as a band in the lineup that we are at HRH Stoner in Sheffield last year.
Okay.
Which was a lot of fun. But it was pretty intense though, because I think we got to play for an hour, which means we got to play for all the songs, which I think up until about 3 weeks before that we'd never all done.
Yeah.
So, but that turned out good, and reception seemed to go well, and we got to work then trying to re-establish the name, and we've recently been in the studio. We've got an album on the way. It's recorded. It's been done with Mr. Chris Fielding of Conan fame up at Skyhammer Studio, and it's called Solitude and Savagery, and it's going to be out on APF at some point towards the end of the year, October, September maybe.
Okay.
And so we wanted to take, after all, this is all about taking the music as far as you can. And so in terms of performing live and trying to better ourselves, let's get on that Bloodstock stage. Let's see how far we can take this.
Yeah. So what? I'm rubbish at doing genres and stuff like that. So even after seeing you on Sunday, I can't even tell people as to, we obviously no band likes to sort of pigeonhole themselves. But what would you say your sort of influences were? Are there any sort of major bands that you would sort of say you've got, you're similar to that people can sort of latch on to?
I think it's a very, very sludgy band. I think that's the sort of that's one of the key elements. We like to keep things heavy and groovy. But we like, Corrosion of Conformity, your Weed Eater, all your bottom end down tune stuff. They're all big influences ours. But on the new stuff, we've tried to incorporate other things. So we've incorporated some Soundgarden, some old school Sepultura bits. We even wrote a song that we took influence from Hans Zimmer, the guy who did the Dark Knight and the Inception soundtrack stuff. Like, some of that stuff's really cool. So we wanted to bring that in just to give it a bigger sound. So it's sort of like a pruggy sludge metal band, I think, is probably a good way of describing it.
Cool. So so Bloodstock then, has it sunk in yet that you're going to be playing at Bloodstock? Have you guys been to the festival before as punters, or what's the situation with that?
So we've all been there. We've all been there as punters before. Our guitar player has played it before as well. He won Metal to the Masses with his band a few years back. So we're all aware, and we all know what's coming. I think it only really sunk in when the announcement that we were going to be playing on the Sunday appeared on Facebook. So that made it all a little bit more real. And now it's time to get to work and get a set figured out so that we can come and hopefully impress and garner some new fans and people to come and join us along the way.
Yeah, indeed, and also the band that weren't actually mentioned in that in the announcement, because they are going to be announcing the Jaeger bands later on. But Def Goldblum were also put onto the Jaeger stage as well, and what a band they were! Oh,
they're incredible. They're incredible. The charisma of Dean is not matched by anybody I've seen for a long time.
Yeah,
as an entire audience in the palm of his hand, effortlessly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking forward to seeing them on a big stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd say that Jaeger stage is really good for that as well. I'm going to be probably having a Jaeger band special on the podcast in a couple of weeks to try to highlight a few of them, and they'll definitely be one of them. But it's that sort of Skinned Ready sort of rap metal sort of thing as well. And that, obviously we had Skinned Red at the festival last year, so I can see them going down really well, even though they're actually a Nottingham band that ended up in the Manchester final, which was hilarious, I thought. Because
I know, as if.
Yeah, Dean said on stage that just so if you're wondering why a Nottingham band are in the Manchester final, it's because we didn't realise that these things were regional, and we thought this was the only one. So we signed up, and we've travelled back and forwards for months. But he did say thank you very much to everybody, because obviously not being a Manchester band, for them to get to the final was obviously a really big thing for them. And then to get put on the Jaeger stage as well is even more impressive when you haven't had local support with you, I guess.
They did incredibly well. They nailed it. Every time they played, they've nailed it, and they're going to nail it on that Jaeger stage as well. Yeah. They're going to go down an absolute treat.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, excellent. Well, we'll have a listen to some of your music then. Thanks for talking to us, mate. I've got to mention, though, before we go, obviously, I didn't know what the hell was going on with this thing, but the Ric Flair woo. Everyone's going, woo, woo.
The Ric Flair woo. Woo.
And neither of us are just like, what is all this going on now then? So where's that come from? And obviously give us your finest woo, because you are the woo master, I believe.
So the woo came. We were writing songs, one that you're going to hear, and I'm always a big fan of an inappropriate woo in a song. And there's the perfect size break in the song, and I whipped it in one day in practice, and it just sort of stuck. And then we did it ever since, and it's on the track. And when we were recording it, we did a video to put on the Facebook page, and of me in a kitchen after a few bottles of wine, doing a wooing and some styling on profiling after the legend Ric Flair. And then it just sort of picked up. Everyone enjoys a good woo, and then it started off and carried on Sunday. And hopefully there'll be many more woos at Bloodstock.
Yes, indeed. Well, that's the idea. So, you thought there was definitely a few woos there the other day, because it was really busy at Rebellion. But yeah, we'll have a few more in the New Blood tent for you as well. So hopefully this will get everyone prepared for the woos, and you can give them an example of that now. So thanks for talking to us. Congratulations on getting to Bloodstock, and I'll leave you to introduce your track and to give us your finest woo to finish it off with.
Lovely. Thank you. This is Reawaken. That's going to be on the forthcoming album, Solitude and Savagery. Woo!
The winner, Manchester 2018 Metal to the Masses, Barbarian Hermit.
Woo!
Hey, this is Paul Mazurkowitz, the drummer from Cannibal Corpse, and you are listening to Bloodstock Radio.
Okay, so that's us up to date with our Metal to the Masses winners, and congratulations to all 4 bands we featured on the show tonight. The other news I wanted to tell you was that aside from all the Metal to the Masses bands being officially announced, we also had Servers, SRD and King Bison added to the New Blood stage. And we also had a switch around on the Sophie stage as Biocancer from Greece sadly had to drop out. But the silver lining is that Demonic Resurrection will be heading over from India to take their place, and you do not want to miss them, folks. The other news this week was that the Bloodstock 2018 merch went on sale, including leggings, caps and some cool new t-shirts. If you're looking for day tickets for Bloodstock, then they go on sale tomorrow morning, that is Friday, June 29th at 9 a.m, priced at £65 plus booking fee for adults and £20 plus the booking fee for children. We also heard this week that we're going to have some new late night entertainment with some old school lock-ins in the Sophie tent after hours, with some very special guest DJs in the form of Crusher on Thursday doing 70s metal. On Friday it will be the Dark Lord himself, Alex Milas, covering the 80s. Then that silly oaf Mr. Dom Lawson will be doing the 90s on Saturday, before the current Metal Hammer editor Merlin brings you some noughties tunes on the Sunday. And finally, there is a competition to win Bloodstock tickets simply by subscribing to our YouTube channel, Bloodstock Festivals, and sharing your favourite video of ours. And don't forget that our Bloodstock TV interviews do count in that as well. You can find all that information on the Bloodstock Facebook page, and we are just about out of time for this week's show, so I'm going to leave you with something from the newly added Demonic Resurrection. This is called Varaha the Boar, and I'll see you next time on Bloodstock Radio.
Band announcements. fans, for the fans. Bloodstock Radio.